everybody's in and you're left out, and you feel you're drowning in the shadow of a doubt. Everyone's a miracle in their own way. Just listen to yourself, not what other people say.
One of my biggest annoyances is the fact that I do, as a general rule, classify as being bisexual, and a lot of people don't think you can be, and that really kind of pisses me off sometimes.
My one pet peeve the most is whenever the subject of my sexuality is brought up around my parents, they kind of get really fidgety, really awkward. You can tell in their faces that they don't really want to talk about it at all, and kind of makes me laugh, but after a while it gets on my nerves.
Or if they see two girls walking around, I guess this is a small annoyance, when they'll be like, you want some sausage, which happened to me just a couple weeks ago.
One of my biggest annoyances is when I say to one of my family members or just a friend that I'm involved in some kind of gay rights activity, like Be More Proud or going to Allies, and they seem to think that because I'm doing that, I'm gay. Like, they make the assumption. And I mean, not that that would be bad, but I just get really mad because they're always like, well, do you want people to think you're gay? It's like, do you think I care? Seriously?
Not because it's something personal about me that they're attacking, but it's like I have this slideshow of faces in my head from some of my friends from high school, or even friends now that are hurt by stuff like that.
Even when girls, when they see two guys, are like, oh, that's beautiful, like you guys are so pretty together, as if all they are decorations on the wall.
When I was younger, my mother and even my friends, they would always ask me, oh, do you have anyone that you're interested in? Who do you think's the cutest guy in your grade? And I never had an opinion. But in reality, I was not really looking at guys. I was looking more towards the girls. No one has the right to tell me what I do or do not feel, what I do or do not care about.
Probably for me, one of the hardest things was that my dad told me I should get an exorcism done, because that's just not the reaction I expected. I didn't expect him to react well, but I didn't expect that either.
The worst so far is when my parents found out I had a boyfriend and my mom goes, ooh.
There's this girl in high school that I was really good friends with, and we were kind of confused about how we felt about each other, and we went through this kind of awkward relationship where we were friends, but we were kind of more. And she wanted to talk to me alone, and so we went into the bathroom because at my high school there weren't many places you could go to communicate in a private environment. So we went to the bathroom because all the girls would just go there and socialize. Another girl made a comment to another girl about us going to the stall together. We were just in there for 2 minutes just to talk about something, just alone. And all these girls were making jokes that we were lesbians, and that experience was just, it's people are really nosy and they always want to put a label on the unknown.
In high school, I had a good friend in the Gay Student Alliance that we started, and she had told her best friend that she was contemplating suicide because she was Hispanic or Latin American, Latina, I guess would be more accurate, and her name was Mary, and she had told her best friend that she was contemplating suicide, like I said, because her family was even going to accept her preference of partner.
I can't really pick one time when I felt bad about it or felt depressed about who I am, because there isn't just one time. It always relates to, I like this girl, they look like they like me back, and then they totally shoot me down.
I saw Mary 3 days before she committed suicide in high school. And she had confided in me after she had confided in her best friend, whose name was Anne. And Anne didn't tell anyone because Anne didn't know what to do. Anne didn't know who to turn to. Anne didn't know that there was a thing like the Trevor Project or counselors that could help. Or she didn't need anyone because she didn't want to out Mary, and she didn't know if Mary would actually do it, and she felt very calm. 3 days later, Mary overdosed on
I was involved in actually 2 groups at my high school. There was the Christian group that I had been involved with for many years. Then I was just starting to get involved with the GSA and gay rights advocacy and things like that. These 2 groups would go to war every year in my high school around Day of Silence time. And so being involved and listening to both sides and knowing the misconceptions that both sides had about each other and having friends in both groups, I thought it would be a really good idea if we just kind of went to each other's meetings, got to know each other a little bit, and just tried to see each other as humans and not this overwhelming force of evil. And when I presented this idea to just my friends in these groups, you'd think I was talking about eating babies. It was really terrible. And I remember I'd go into each meeting, there was an hour meeting every week. I'd go in and just argue.
Don't like it, and I wish they would just accept it, but some people don't.
Since coming to college and getting here, I've met a lot of really great new people and I've made a lot of really good new friends. And I feel like had I given up, and there were a few times I almost did, I feel like I would have missed out on a lot of really good experiences.
I would have gotten involved and would have gotten involved in Allies and Listen and P-Flag and all these wonderful gay causes that make my world go around. And I wouldn't have seen my mom turn another year older every year and freak out about how she's older but she's still only 4'8" and why isn't she growing. So I am so glad that I'm still here.
Everyone's a hero, everyone's a star. When you wanna give and your heart's about to break, remember that you're perfect. God makes no mistakes.
It definitely got better with time.
Things did get better though. Basically, just when I came out, I just had a really good group of friends who were willing to sit there and listen. They didn't even have to give me advice. They just sat there and listened to me vent or talk about it, and they were okay with that. It definitely did get better though when I got a boyfriend. Because then I could focus on somebody else and not myself anymore, and I had to take care of somebody else.
I think for me, it got better when I started to get involved. So I don't know if it got better. I feel like I got stronger as a person, and the people around me have gotten stronger as people because we've come through and survived the challenges that we have. And we bring our stories to the table and we share them because we are all part of the same unit of souls. We're all struggling with
When I initially got to college, the first day I got on McDaniel's campus, I really, really just wanted to be myself. I didn't want to hide anything. So I never had a big coming out. I just was if anyone asked me, I'd be like, yeah, I am. And I love it. And everyone's been so supportive. I have not met one single person who does not support me in my feelings.
He doesn't acknowledge it, but at the same time he doesn't hate me, which is what I expected to have happen.
As I got more comfortable with being an ally, it wasn't something I was well, yeah, I kind of believe it. No, it's a big part of who I am. It's something I really am about, take it or leave it. And once you're comfortable in your own skin, people kind of make up their mind whether they want to associate with you or not, and leave you alone if they don't.
It really does eventually get better, and it may take a while. It may be really hard, and you may need a lot of help. But that's what friends are for, and that's what the people around you, whoever you use for your support system, are.
There's always someone out there willing to listen to you, and sometimes it's not your friends, and sometimes it's not your family or your counselor, but just start talking. And I know that's the bravest thing you can do is just tell someone your story if you're struggling, because not everyone struggles, and believe it or not, there are great coming out stories or not coming out stories, just life stories. Straight, gay, everything between. If you stick out life long enough, you actually are not sticking it out anymore. You're enjoying it and you're living it and it fulfills you. And you should absolutely tell someone so they can help you get there.
It'll be all right.
It gets better. I would know.
I hope it feels good. Hey, you trying so hard not to cry. Well, I know you're fed up, but keep your head up, 'cause people only see what they wanna. People gon' believe what they gonna. They don't understand the life that you choose. They never walked a mile in your shoes. No, no, no. So what you gonna do with the haters? Just gotta excuse their behavior, but just don't give up hope. I just want you to know. Maybe today seems cloudy and gray, so full of sorrow, and tomorrow seems so far away. But it gets better. It gets better. But it gets better. It gets better. I know the world keeps throwing you stride, but keep on starting down this yellow brick road called life. 'Cause it gets better. It gets better. 'Cause it gets better. It gets better. Hey, you, wondering who you are, saying there's something wrong here. I don't belong here. Hey, you, don't you know you come so far and there's nowhere to run to. I'll always love you, but people only see what they wanna. People gon' believe what they gonna. They don't understand the way that you feel. They never walked a mile in your heels. No, 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 no. So what you gonna do with your haters? Just gotta excuse their behavior, but just don't give up, yeah.